This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Tonight, in Colton's memory, the family of a young boy who died in flash flooding last year honors him with a memorial bench.
Sour grapes. Nova Scotia wine growers resign from a government working group.
And big games on the horizon. U Sports announces several national championships are coming to Nova Scotia.
Quiet tonight and into Thursday, watching our next system rolling in late Thursday through Friday with some much needed rain. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. It's been more than a year since a deadly flash flood claimed the lives of 4 Nova Scotians in the Windsor area, including 6-year-old Colton Cisco.
Now there is a memorial set up where Colton went to school to comfort his loved ones and celebrate his life. The CBC's Selena Alders has the story.
Over a year after losing her son, Tara Cisco finally has a place to sit and remember Colton. A bright blue and orange bench, his 2 favorite colors, where she can reflect and feel close to him.
Colton was such a kind of an old soul. Like he was so sweet, and he was so loving and so caring. So he'd say, "Oh, Mommy, you're beautiful." He'd say that every day.
6-year-old Colton Cisco was among the 4 people who died in the devastating floods of July 2023. He was in a vehicle that got swept away while trying to evacuate the rushing waters. Colton's teacher, Lila Eid, arranged the memorial, which sits behind the school's playground. It's called Colton's Buddy Bench.
I felt like something physical that the kids could see was important, so that they had something to remember him, but also somewhere to go when they needed to. And Colton was a good friend. He was quick to invite other kids to play. He was sweet to his classmates. So we felt like a buddy bench was an appropriate thing to remember him.
Eid says she and Colton had an instant connection when she taught him in grade primary. She was meant to teach him again for his grade 1 year.
I'm doing better this year than last year, but it's still a lot to process. I still miss him a lot.
He loved Lila. He absolutely did. And she loves him. She loves him. And I couldn't be more thankful for that.
Cisco says this tribute means the world to her, and it's already offering great comfort to Colton's family and friends.
I think he would be so tickled. He'd be so proud. And that's ultimately what it is he would be so proud of his teacher and his friends and his community for being able to give a safe space to just sit and be vulnerable and think of the happier things. He'd be so proud.
Selena Alders, CBC News, Windsor.
Commercial lobster industry reps walked out of a meeting yesterday after DFO officials refused to change the agenda to focus on illegal fishing and enforcement. They say DFO is not doing enough to address concerns about illegal out-of-season fishing. The executive director of the Brazil Rock 3334 Lobster Association says the walkout reflects how frustrated the industry is with DFO.
Personally, I feel like a lot of our members were abandoned. And how can they not know what we want to talk about? We've seen it in the media for months. We've been talking about this for 4 years. The lack of clear, tangible, actual enforcement on anyone who's committing violations that threatens the conservation in the local coastal communities that we rely upon.
A few hours after the walkout, DFO organized a meeting with several officials and industry reps. Fleck and others say the 35-minute meeting did nothing to change how they're feeling. A DFO spokesperson told CBC there have been a number of arrests and gear seizures in recent weeks.
Premier Tim Houston's peace accord with the farm wine sector came crashing down yesterday. The co-chair of a working group resigned because of what he called an insulting proposal from the government for how it plans to support the sector. As Michael Gorman reports, at issue is continued plans by the province to subsidize commercial wine bottlers.
Nova Scotia farm wineries have worked for years to build their brands and get the attention of the world. But industry members say that's all at risk now because of a support program proposed by the provincial government.
They've got a Nova Scotia Loyal program. They have to understand that bringing in wine from elsewhere and literally packaging it here and subsidizing it with the Nova Scotia taxpayers' money is not loyal to Nova Scotia.
Coutinho resigned from the farm wine working group because the province's offer would not just increase support for farm wineries, but also for commercial wine bottlers who bring in grape juice from outside the province. The introduction of that subsidy earlier this year and ensuing protests prompted Premier Tim Houston to pause the program for commercial bottlers and launch a working group to find a solution. This winery co-owner says the government's offer misses the mark.
And although we are very appreciative of any type of increase in the investment, that does not equitably represent what our industry puts back into the Nova Scotia province.
A statement from the province says the support offer is based on recommendations from an independent report and that it will release more details soon. With harvesting season underway, grape growers say they don't have much time to wait and they want a meeting with the Premier. Michael Gorman, CBC News, Halifax.
Ryan, now with our first quick look at the weather forecast.
Yep, a bit gray today.
Definitely gray. Few showers kicking around, especially for the eastern shore region and across the eastern half of the mainland in particular. That's definitely where we were seeing a few showers, and we'll continue to see some shower chances tonight. High temperatures across the province today. You can see we're ranging between 15 and 18 degrees, pretty much in the wheelhouse for where we should be for this time of year. Those easterly winds ease, but they will be prevalent through the overnight. Into tomorrow, the winds are going to become a little more southerly. A very isolated chance of a shower Thursday morning. But generally speaking, tomorrow's quiet with building clouds from west to east ahead of this next weather maker. And yeah, you can see starting to edge in towards the Digby County area towards supper time on Thursday, but generally we're quiet with, again, that building cloud cover throughout the day. Temperatures back in the 17, 18 degree range for most. Likely will crack 20 across from the Truro to Pictou County area. This system will continue to track through Thursday night and on Friday with periods of rain and some drizzle, and then clearing as we work our way into the weekend. Details on how much rain this will drop and your 7-day forecast coming up. Tom and Amy.
Do stay tuned. Okay, thanks so much, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
A major Halifax developer has been hit with an order to comply for, quote, serious fire and safety issues in a new apartment building in the city's north end. Halifax regional municipality officials visited the building this week and noted several violations. Nicola Sagan reports.
The building behind me on Makara Street is still very much under construction, but that doesn't mean tenants aren't moving in. Earlier, tenants were unloading boxes and suitcases, maneuvering through safety barricades and workers in hard hats. This building, called the Elevation, doesn't have an occupancy permit and hasn't passed a final inspection. Halifax regional municipality officials say this is a huge problem. They got a complaint last weekend and building inspectors came to the site yesterday. That's when they issued the order to comply. A spokesperson called it a serious situation, saying building officials noted several fire and life safety issues, largely due to incomplete construction throughout the building and occupying without a permit. HRM would not share a copy of the order to comply, but said inspectors were following up today to ensure compliance. The owner of the building, Bank Group, owns 11 commercial buildings in Halifax, as well as 3 residential buildings and 3 more under construction, including the Elevation. The CEO of Bank Group said in an email that tenants are moving their belongings in anticipation of moving in, and their leases haven't officially started. He says inspections aren't out of the ordinary, and failing just means there are improvements to be made. But he says this week was a curveball. We saw what appeared to be inspectors here today, but HRM hasn't provided an update on what happened after the follow-up inspection, including whether the owner complied and what happens next. Nicola Sagan, CBC News, Halifax.
HRM is taking University Avenue in Halifax off its list as one of its homeless encampment sites. The municipality says the people living in the 24 tents on the street will have to be moved out of the area by November 1st. The issue is their safety relating to upcoming winter snow clearing operations. Notices were placed on the outside of each of the tents in the area this morning. The notice says service providers will be working with those sleeping rough to determine which provincially operated shelter or housing option may be an option for them.
There's a lot of risk to folks in that area during snow and ice control operations. And so you can imagine really big industrial snowplows going through that area. The risk of injury is really, really high. So that's why November 1st, so that people have a chance to get out.
Residents who don't live by the deadline could be arrested and removed from the property and could also be subject to a fine. There are still 5 designated homeless encampment sites. 3 are in Halifax and 2 are near downtown Dartmouth.
The province announced today it will build 3 new dialysis units in Nova Scotia. These will be set up in Spring Hill, Shelburne, and Evanston. Each unit will have 6 dialysis stations to provide the life-saving treatment for people whose kidneys are failing. There are currently 18 such units across the province that are mostly full, and around 900 Nova Scotians who require dialysis.
From a dialysis perspective, we've always tried to achieve sort of no more than an hour for people to drive from their homes. So over the last decade, I would say that we've been expanding, making a distributed model of facilities. And the 2 of them that are an upgrade or a replacement, we've had dialysis services there for a long time, but they were sort of a temporary setup. So we're actually bringing them up to standard.
Health Minister Michelle Thompson would not say how much the work will cost. The project is set for a 2-year timeline. The mayor of Pictou says the town is getting frustrated with repeated ferry breakdowns, putting the service between Nova Scotia and PEI out of service. Both ferries that link the 2 provinces remain out of commission. The MV Surima was pulled from the run yesterday. Northumberland Ferries confirms problems with 2 of the ship's 4 main engines. Meanwhile, the MV Confederation is currently undergoing hull work after it crashed into the wharf. Mayor Jim Ryan says the unpredictability of the service is hurting business.
Even when there was one ferry running, there were people who would stop by here to eat at the restaurants and to stroll through the town, maybe through the shops, and provide some economic benefits to the community while they were waiting for the ferry. That's not happening now, obviously. People are just choosing to bypass us. They're traveling the 104 and choosing not to come this way at all. So it's gonna make a difference.
The federal government has purchased a ferry from Norway, the MV Fanefjord, to take the place of the Surima. That boat was originally supposed to arrive this year, but it remains in Norway being retrofitted. There are no plans currently to replace the 31-year-old Confederation.
For the first time ever, the Nova Scotia Court of Appeal will sit outside of Halifax. A welcoming ceremony was held in Member 2 Cape Breton. The court will hold 2 days of hearings and is inviting the public to see its work firsthand. Member 2 Chief Terry Paul says having the court held in his community is significant because of Donald Marshall Jr., who was from Member 2. Marshall was just 17 years old when he received a life sentence for a murder that he did not commit. He was later set free. And then later in life, he was charged with selling eels without a license. That eventually led to a Supreme Court ruling affirming the treaty right of First Nations to fish, hunt, and gather in pursuit of a moderate livelihood.
Our relationship with the justice system, as you know, pretty well the whole country knows, is that it's not been good. You know, just dealing with Junior Marshall's issues. You know, boat court cases where he was innocent in both of them, like, you know, and the system just put its full weight on him, you know, and luckily that he had the strength to just keep getting up.
Paul says having the top court in his community helps the process in reconciliation. Its first appeal hearing in Member 2 gets underway tomorrow morning for the case of the Board of Registration of Embalmers and Funeral Directors versus Joseph Curry.
Dalhousie University is trying to address a forecasted budget shortfall of about $18 million. That is according to an internal email obtained by CBC News. To deal with this, the university has implemented a hiring freeze. Dalhousie says the shortfall comes from international enrollment, which is 20% lower than budgeted. The freeze is expected to last until at least March of next year. In a statement, the school says recent, quote, geopolitical and government policy changes have intensified the trend of declining international enrollment.
Well, if you're a fan of local college sports, then you'll be glad to know 6 different national tournaments will be held in the Maritimes over the next 4 years.
The CEO of U Sports, the national body that oversees university athletics in Canada, was in Halifax this morning to make that announcement. The CBC's Paul Palmer was there.
The City of Halifax and Scotiabank Centre will host 4 U Sports National Championships over the next 3 years.
Pierre Arsenault's announcement was just the news many local sports fans have been waiting for. Along with 2 national championships being held in Charlottetown and Halifax this fall, 6 nationals will be held between now and March of 2028.
There's such a great history of U Sports National Championships here in Halifax and of sporting events generally. The community really supporting and coming out and passionately participating in the event.
The championships announced today include both men's and women's hockey nationals and men's and women's basketball nationals. 4 universities, St. Mary's, Acadia, Dalhousie, and UNB, all work together to pitch a package of hosting events to U Sports that they couldn't turn down.
Well, I think, it's truly one-of-a-kind collaboration. All of us in the room and the tables of all 4 institutions put our egos aside, put our rivalries aside, and to say, you know what, none of us can do this on our own. So we're stronger together than we are apart.
One of the tournaments coming to Halifax will be the Women's Basketball Nationals, which have never been held at Scotiabank Centre. The last time the tournament was played in Halifax was at Dalplex 44 years ago. The tournaments are a big shot in the arm to downtown Halifax. Restaurants and hotels will get lots of added business during times that are generally slow. An estimated $5 million is expected to be injected into the local economy.
Events like this lead to economic opportunities broadly across the city. They benefit accommodations, they benefit restaurants, they benefit a lot of different businesses.
The first of the events announced today will be the 2026 Men's University Cup, which was won by UNB last year. Paul Palmer, CBC News, Halifax.
A beautiful look from the Annapolis Valley. Ryan's up next with his full weather forecast. We will see you after the break.
All right, we did have that sprinkle rain, certainly in the Halifax area earlier today, and took a little getting used to because it seems to be a while since we've had that.
Well, and there's more on the way, much needed.
Thankfully so. Yeah, we definitely need the wet weather. And the good news is that we're clearing through Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday afternoon may see a lingering shower, but overall, the weekend's looking pretty good, especially Sunday and into Truth and Reconciliation Day on Monday. So have a look at webcam shot, live shot. This is Lunenburg, of course. Beautiful Lunenburg. And you can see that, well, it's always a beautiful spot, right?
It is.
Golf course in the distance there. It's got it all, doesn't it?
It really does. It's a little cloudy right there right now, and across most of the province, it certainly is a bit cloudy, but yeah, fine evening out there. You can see temperatures ranging between 13 in Sydney to 17 degrees in through Lunenburg and Kedzie and in through the Greenwood area as well. The winds have been generally yet again today in from the east to northeast, and they've been sustained in the 10-20 kilometer per hour range. We are seeing some gusts that have been upwards of 25 or 30 at times, but really hasn't been too gusty. This is the setup, and again, we've got the easterly flow with these showers that have been kind of crawling along the eastern shore today, and then we've got this upper level cloud cover starting to fan its way in ahead of this next weather maker, which is rolling its way up through the Great Lakes and stretches all the way down the eastern seaboard. This high, though, this has been the reason we've been so dry, right? We've had this blocking high for days and days and days, and that high is still digging in, trying its darndest to hold on. So it's going to take this low quite a bit of time, really another 24 hours before it will actually be able to really move in with anything substantial. Maybe a couple of isolated showers creeping in ahead of this main line, but it's the main line that will take 24 hours to move in. Have a look at the setup right now. And the jet stream, when it really starts to do this dance of wandering north and south, this is when we know that we're starting to get into transition season. 32 in Regina right now, 14 in Vancouver, and a big trough here brewing around this low that is going to be working its way into our region. Tonight, isolated shower chances with temperatures ranging between 6 and 10 degrees for the most part. Now, winds are going to be relatively light, and as we walk you through the timeline here, again, a couple of isolated little spits of showers here and there. That's going to be the case again for tomorrow morning. And note variable clouds. So we'll see some pockets of sunny periods, no doubt, but it looks like the clouds will for the most part dominate tomorrow. Clouds certainly thickening into the afternoon. And as we mentioned, Digby down towards Yarmouth, that's going to be our best chance of seeing some showers tomorrow afternoon. More so though, it's supper time and into tomorrow evening. We watch those periods of rain stretching in from west to east. Tomorrow across Cape Breton, generally a mix of sun and cloud. Temperatures 15 in Ingonish and 16 in Sydney, but we should warm up to around 18, 19 degrees Port Hood. Antigonish, 20 degrees tomorrow, back towards the Truro region as well. That'll be our best chance of hitting 20 as well as into the Windsor area. Temperatures, again, in those southeast winds will be a bit cooler along parts of the coast. And as we work into Friday, wet weather, but note here, Yarmouth, I do have you folks a little bit into the sunshine by late Friday afternoon. That's the timing of all this. So the low comes through. We are looking at that wet weather through Friday morning, periods of rain starting to taper off, and there's that little dry patch that I'm expecting to work into the province for Friday afternoon into Friday evening. That low will continue to sail off to the east. Saturday, just some lingering showers in this northeast wind, but generally clearing through Saturday and a pretty solid Sunday. Rainfall amounts, generally 15 to 30 millimeters. So a good solid drink here. Could see some pockets though that do exceed 30 millimeters that push up towards maybe 40. Fingers crossed, even a little bit more than that. We do need it. And so we'll hope for as much as we can get from this one. As we said, clearing through Saturday and then Sunday looking good. Monday also looking good. Tuesday, pretty nice stretch shaping up again after the wet weather, Tom and Amy.
Oh, no, not so bad.
It's good.
Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Coming up, the Liberals survive a vote in the House of Commons today that threatened to bring down the federal government.
And concerns continue over illegal lobster fishing after a staged walkout at a recent committee meeting. That's the topic of our newsmaker after the break. A group representing commercial lobster fishermen walked out of a meeting with DFO representatives when they tried to discuss what fishermen describe as illegal fishing and the lack of enforcement by DFO. Dan Fleck is the executive director of the Brazil Rock 3334 Lobster Association. He works out of Yarmouth. Mr. Fleck, describe your meeting with DFO officials yesterday, if you would.
Thank you for that, Tom. The acronym MARLAC stands for Maritimes Region Lobster Advisory Committee, and it's an overarching meeting for all the lobster fishing areas from 27 to 38, which would be from the northern tip of Cape Breton, all down along through Nova Scotia, the Bay of Fundy, to the Maine U.S. border. And that's a meeting that's held once a year where all the associations get together with DFO. And it's an advisory meeting where we're supposed to exchange advice and ideas and learn from each other.
And so to be clear, the issue that a lot of the fishermen felt was so pressing at this point, illegal fishing, was not on the agenda yesterday. I gather fishermen were trying to change the agenda to engage DFO on this?
Yeah, the update from Conservation and Protection was the very last thing of the day. There was a little, small amount of time allotted for it. It was at the very end of the day, not a lot of time for questions and answers. And we asked that the primary, number one, most concerning, pressing issue in Atlantic Canada for lobster fishers was the illegal black market commercial fishery. And our request was denied to have the agenda amended. So we exited the meeting, we departed the meeting, and we left. You know, if they're not going to listen to us, if they're not going to talk with us or not even hear us, why would we stay there?
The federal minister wrote to her provincial counterpart this week suggesting that more needs to be done to prevent the sale of the lobsters caught, which is a responsibility of the province. So suggesting there's a black market out there that could be, clamped down on. Is that happening?
My take on that is I know Minister Smith, the provincial Minister of Fisheries, composed a letter and sent it to the federal minister, Diane Leboutillier, and hadn't received any response back for a couple of months. And yesterday morning, we saw the response that was received by Minister Smith, and it said the issue would be to address the black market illegal sale of lobster. In our opinion, that missed the mark completely, 100%. He wrote about increased enforcement and dealing with problems on the water. And we would concur with that. I mean, if you deal with the problem on the water, it prevents any problems on shore. Nip it in the bud, deal with it where it's supposed to be dealt with on the water. Not only does it prevent the illegal sale of anything, but it conserves the stock. Once the product is removed and dead and shipped, you know, it's hard on these conservation, science-based, historically established seasons.
There seems to be this finger-pointing going on now between both levels of government. I mean, what is the end result of that?
Whenever, how would I say? I'm going to say whenever a resource becomes politicized, the resource loses, and the people who rely upon that resource and the communities that rely upon that industry all suffer. So a resource should not be politicized and used for political gain by anyone.
I know you're concerned about lobster being taken out of season that don't think should be fished. The federal minister says the department is conducting enforcement on the water and has seized some gear. What are fishermen saying about that?
It's inadequate, it's insufficient, and the appropriate level of attention is not being applied to it. Just last week, we had a meeting with DFO where we were told that there were 200 traps seized, and 30% of those was ghost gear that had been left out over years that they had discovered. That's great that they removed that, but when you see these videos on social media and in the mainstream media of illegal product and the quantities being landed, 200 traps compared to 800,000 pounds of lobster coming ashore, just doesn't suffice. So it's not adequate and not appropriate.
You think there's 800,000 pounds of lobster coming ashore? I mean, how do you verify that, or why do fishermen believe that's the amount?
In small communities, the wharf is the It's the focal point. The wharf is the main street of these small coastal communities, and people go down, and grab a coffee or go down in the evening or afternoon or early morning and watch and see what's going on. They check on their boats and the neighbors' boats, and they see what's going on, and they see the quantities of lobster that's being loaded onto these traps in ports throughout Atlantic Canada.
DFO says it knows there's a food, social, and ceremonial fishery that's happening, of course, for First Nations, and that those lobsters are not allowed to be sold commercially under Canadian law. How do you ensure that?
How do we ensure that?
Well, how does anyone ensure it?
That's where okay, thank you. Pardon me. I'll thank you for that question. Well, we would not ensure that, but we would love to ensure that DFO is monitoring that and conducting at-sea inspections of the traps, of the fishers who are participating in their food, social, and ceremonial fishery, and to ensure that pre-established regulations and conditions of license are met. But, we're not identifying the food, social, and ceremonial fishery as the problem here. We are identifying an illegal black market commercial fishery, which has many different players involved. And it doesn't matter who's doing the fishing. Illegal is illegal.
Dan Fleck, appreciate your time on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Always here anytime. And thank you for providing the opportunity so we could express our concerns today. Thank you.
Coming up, 2 Canadians are among the hundreds killed by the ongoing Israeli airstrikes in southern Lebanon.
Welcome back. The Liberals survived a vote in the House of Commons today that threatened to bring down the government.
The Bloc Québécois and the NDP failed to support the non-confidence motion introduced by the Conservatives. But as Kate McKenna reports, the Liberals are facing a new challenge onto their hold of power.
With the first non-confidence vote defeated, the government survives for now. But today, the Bloc Québécois gave an ultimatum and a deadline.
Le Bloc Québécois veut rendre public.
Leader Yves-François Blanchet says the government must pass 2 bills by October 29th or risk being defeated.
What we are proposing is good for retired persons in Quebec, but also in Canada. It's good for milk and eggs and poultry product producer in Quebec, but also in Canada.
The bloc bills would boost old age security for younger seniors and shield dairy, egg, and poultry farmers from future losses in trade negotiations. The bills have both been described as costly and controversial.
I think every proposal that's made, is something that is considered. But I don't think it's helpful to issue ultimatums. I think that what is helpful is to demonstrate that Parliament is focused on Canadians and not politics.
Now that the NDP's deal with the Liberals is over, the Conservatives are using every possible opportunity to try to topple the government.
Today, we'll vote to trigger a carbon tax election.
The bloc holds the balance of power, able to keep the government afloat, and it's flexing its muscles.
What we realize right now is that the Bloc Québécois did nothing for Quebecers in the last 2 years, and now they are scrambling to find a way to be relevant and to provide some record.
But even if the Bloc Québécois does vote against the government after its self-imposed deadline, it still needs the support of the NDP to trigger an election. And the NDP says it's taking votes on a case-by-case basis. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
2 Canadians have been killed in Lebanon, according to their son. Kamal Tabaja tells the CBC his 74-year-old father and 69-year-old mother were killed in an Israeli airstrike. The incident apparently happened in southern Lebanon during the fighting between Israel and Hezbollah. Chris Brown has the latest on the conflict.
Hezbollah unleashed one of its most fearsome weapons, targeting the Tel Aviv area with a ballistic missile that could have caused immense damage. The white streak in the sky appeared to be Israeli defenses shooting it down, but the fact it was launched at all is significant.
This is the first time in history that Hezbollah terrorists have fired at the city of Tel Aviv.
Hezbollah says it was aiming for the headquarters of Israeli intelligence, the Mossad, and it also fired smaller weapons at northern Israeli communities, wounding 3. Hezbollah has been badly hurt in recent days by Israeli airstrikes that have killed top commanders. Lebanon's health ministry says more than 600 people have been killed and there is chaos throughout the country. Israel says it's trying to force Hezbollah to abandon its support for Hamas so that tens of thousands of Israelis evacuated from northern Israel can return home. But Lebanon's health minister told CBC News that children and women make up most of the victims.
The vast majority, if not all, of the wounded who are being brought to hospitals are civilians.
Hospitals are buckling under the strain, and there are now more than 500,000 people who've been driven from their homes. Some have ended up at a school in Saida, Lebanon's 3rd largest city. We slept on the street for 2 days, said Sheen Hamoud, a mother of 2. This former Israeli intelligence officer says Hezbollah is under pressure to demonstrate its resilience despite its losses, which is why leader Hassan Nasrallah turned to one of its most deadly weapons.
He sent a signal to Israel when he launched one rocket, just signaling that Israel exaggerated and is still signaling that he is measured.
He says the message from Hezbollah may be that there is room for a political deal, which is what multiple reports suggest the U.S., France, and other countries are now urgently trying to broker, which could include Hamas in Gaza as well. Even so, there are indications that yet more escalation may come first. Israel's top military officer told reservists that their possible entry or a ground offensive into Lebanon may be imminent. Chris Brown, CBC News, Haifa.
Unsealed court documents obtained by CBC News are giving insight into a sexual abuse investigation in St. John's. 2 men are facing dozens of charges dating back decades. And as Ryan Cook reports, one alleged victim says the authorities ignored warnings and failed to stop them years ago. And a warning, this story contains some disturbing details.
You know, the public, when they hear this, they should be pretty outraged.
Stephen Barnes represents 2 men who allege they were sexually abused by Tony Humby, who is now facing 72 charges related to alleged sexual abuse involving 11 youths at a St. John's trailer park. CBC News obtained search warrant documents, so far untested in court, which revealed a 16-year-old told police in 2007 that he'd been raped by Tony Humby, 16 years before Humby was arrested. That man is now one of Barnes's clients.
He did everything that was expected of him. He had a rape kit done, and then he was told that nothing further was going to be done. Obviously, he didn't understand why. He was just a child.
According to the officer who authored these documents, more than 30 people have come forward with allegations against Tony Humby, from rape to molestation and luring. Many of these allegations are said to have taken place after the 2007 complaint, and that includes a man we're calling John Doe, who says he was abused by Humby starting in 2008 when he was 14.
He raped me, and there's times where during being tied to a bed, he would go off in another room, have a smoke, do whatever, and he'd come back and he'd keep me there for hours and do it as much as he wanted until he was basically ready to let me go.
John Doe now wonders how his life would be different if Humby had been charged in 2007.
I probably wouldn't have been in contact with him. And if I wasn't in contact with him, then more than likely none of that stuff would have happened to me. It probably wouldn't have happened to a lot of these victims.
John Doe is now suing the province, saying he was under the supervision of the Child Protection System in 2009 or 10 when he told social workers about Tony Humby and co-accused Bruce Escott.
They said that they would get the RNC involved to come talk to me, and no one ever did.
And today, a call from the opposition leader for answers.
If I was Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador right now, I would be calling for an independent review to find out why or how this happened, why it took so long for it to be investigated, and what can we make sure to do that this never happens again.
The provincial government has yet to file a statement of defense in court and declined comment for this story. The Royal Newfoundland Constabulary also said it couldn't comment on specifics, but in general says sexual assault investigations have come a long way in the past decade. Bruce Escott has reached a plea deal in his case, while Tony Humby has pleaded not guilty and is set for trial next March. Ryan Cook, CBC News, St. John's.
Tropical storm Helene has become a hurricane, and it could hit the southern United States in the next day. It's now crossing the Gulf of Mexico after battering Cancun. It was still a tropical storm when it hit Mexico, but it's now gaining strength as it crosses the Gulf. Torrential rains are expected to further erode Cancun's beaches. In southern U.S., sandbagging is underway, with officials declaring emergencies in both Florida and Georgia. Authorities are predicting life-threatening storm surge along the entire west coast of Florida. The storm is so large that hurricane conditions could be expected along 145 kilometers of the Georgia-Florida line, and rain as far north as Indiana. Cineplex is vowing to appeal after being slapped with a fine, nearly $40 million. The theater chain is accused of adding hidden fees to tickets sold online. Anise Hederi explains that the decision could mean others' companies.
Movie theater giant Cineplex is facing a record fine of nearly $39 million. The company found guilty by a tribunal of misleading customers by hiding a $1.50 fee when buying tickets online. The case covered purchases in late 2022 and all of 2023.
I had no idea there was extra fees. If I knew ahead of time, I would have been buying my movie tickets in person a long time ago.
I prefer a more transparent option, right? To just show me the price up front.
I think a penalty is a good thing. I think it's a good shot across the bow of anybody thinking that might be a fun move to try on their customers some other time.
That penalty is over what's often called drip pricing, or junk fees, where a surprise charge shows up before you can complete your purchase. Competition experts say punishing companies that use them is smart.
What this allows for is a more level playing field with companies that were being forthright with their pricing.
Cineplex wouldn't agree to an interview, but in a statement said, "We are shocked and disagree with the decision and will appeal to the federal court." Appeal or not, this win could lead the Competition Bureau to take on other junk fees.
For sure, I think it will, if anything, it'll invigorate further their desire to have, increased enforcement and penalties in this area.
But that may not stop companies from charging you those fees. Canadian law only bans hiding them, and low competition means low incentive to cut prices.
I think across areas like airlines, like banking, we need to change the underlying competitive structure that allows companies to get away with charging the fees in the first place.
As for Cineplex, don't expect any refunds. This legal fine does not go to consumers. And the movie giant is not getting rid of the fee. Anis Hidari, CBC News, Calgary.
Navigating streets and sidewalks can be challenging and even dangerous for pedestrians whose vision is impaired. The CBC's Michelle Morton tells us about two people who are working to improve safety in a township in British Columbia.
See, now this curb ramp is facing directly into the traffic. It's not facing where we need to go.
This is just one example of the daily challenges Amy Verwoerd and Matt Sally, along with his guide dog Grizzly, face on a daily basis. Both say they often don't feel safe when they're walking on sidewalks.
Lack of consistency in the crossing signals and difficulty in the sidewalks, in how wide they are. It's so challenging to be able to navigate if there's a stroller or a scooter or a walker coming in the opposite direction.
You have to be so careful about where you're at, where the poles are located for the buttons to cross the street. Sometimes one direction is on one pole, another direction is on another pole. And if you're in a strange area, it really causes a lot of anxiety. Find the pole, find the pole.
Pedestrian safety advocates say municipalities should factor these concerns into their infrastructure design.
Saying, hey, we're going to take this as a matter of importance. We'll show other municipalities and townships that, hey, we need to change our focus going forward, invest more in our people, invest more in our aging demographic and the disabilities and accessibility needs that go around that.
Verwoerd and Sally are part of a group who have been leading Township of Langley councillors on walks to highlight the challenges they face. This week, they presented crosswalk safety recommendations to council, which were supported unanimously.
We all sort of had a moment of enlightenment, right? Where it's like, it's simple enough for us to get around, but that's not what's important. What's important is that you're building a community that's safe for everybody.
Pratt says a member with the blind community will work with staff as they develop the transportation and mobility strategy, which looks to enhance transportation infrastructure for the township by fall of next year. Michelle Morton, CBC News, Vancouver.
Canada's main stock index edged lower today, while U.S. markets were mixed. Here's a look at how the markets did as we head to break. Okay, so, the forecast, a little bit of the moisture, which we need.
Yep.
Some sun in the near future as well.
And sun on Sunday,
Yeah,
which is good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And even into the Saturday, we will see some sun, but some lingering showers. Sunday and Monday looking like the nicer of the few days coming up. Have a look at our viewer picture of the day. Back to the beach we go. It's fall, but
another beach day.
Another beach day at Conrad's.
Oh, that's a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Oh, and no wonder.
You'd like to be there on a day like that, wouldn't you?
I sure
Amy?
would.
Sandy Johnson with this beautiful shot. Nice halo there. And thanks to Sandy for sharing. And of course, that halo created by, you can see those wispy cirrus clouds starting to come in. Those are ice crystals. And again, the sun shines through the ice crystals and creates that nice halo. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sandy. Ryan's picks at cbc.ca. Love to see that inbox nice and full, which it is most nights, so really appreciate everybody sending your pictures in. Now for tomorrow, we are going to be seeing an isolated chance of a shower, but for the most part, it's going to be kind of a day where the cloud and sun are doing battle, and no doubt the cloud will start to win the day, certainly into the afternoon over the western half of the province. A little brighter in the east, especially across Cape Breton. We'll see temperatures ranging between 16 and 18 for Cape Breton. The mainland will be anywhere between 17 and 20 degrees. Now, we will see that wet weather moving in Thursday evening, overnight, and into Friday. Note the Friday icons there. I do have Yarmouth with a little bit of sun breaking through, and that is based on the latest timing of this. As you can see, the green really starts to fill in through Thursday evening and overnight. That's when we'll see the most substantial rain. Friday, lingering periods of rain and drizzle, but again, that dry slot starting to work its way in on Friday afternoon to the west. We'll see things gradually clearing through Saturday and a nice Sunday.
All right, Ryan, thank you for that. Well, video of a BC man's surprise encounter with a black bear is getting a lot of attention online. Alex Gold walked into his open garage and found an uninvited guest.
Oh, we lost a little bit of that. Oh, there it's coming back. Gold's garage camera captured the incident as the bear charged at him several times. He shared the video on Instagram.
Gold clapped his hands and told the animal to go away. He was finally able to climb into his car and honk the horn, scaring the bear and its cub away from his property. Yikes.
Gold was so calm. That's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.